unmute you. How do I sound from way back here? It sounds like your phone is working. Okay. Alrighty, let's get some things going. Join the Teams channel. You here? Let's see. There, I've got Teams thing there. Like my microphone cutting in it. Change that. Microphone. I'm not an admin. Site. Dun, dun. Mm-hmm. Up and running. Audio still sounds good. Can't figure that out. My microphone keeps breaking up. And all the technology in the world, and it's still not enough. Okay, totally get it. Hey, folks, I'm still trying to just get myself squared away here, so give me just a minute or two to appropriately, and we'll get going. That is gonna bug me. That little break in the microphone. Oh, I apologize for folks who, if the audio doesn't come through clear, I apologize. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and get ourselves going here. Welcome to the January Lunch and Learn. We are obviously in between semesters now, so um, we have a few things to touch on during this. A few notes that we want people to kind of be aware of, but then also some opportunity to ask questions. So I will kind of transition us where we need to be now. Up my notes as to where we need to be, because the first topic of order is a reminder and I guess a further conversation in relation to the UW Madison's move away from Verlog and Vitesse as our branded fonts and instead moving towards Red Hat display and Red Hat text. And so in the email I sent out, we sent out the update Monday, I think. Sent out a lot of email. I believe we sent out the email this week in regards to the update for the reasoning behind this, the purpose behind it, and how it's going to affect you. So we kind of wanted to touch base just a little bit more about the fact that within WiscWeb, you won't have anything to do specifically because we manage the UW theme on our end. So the changes that are going to be coming are going to happen automatically for you. But for dating reasons, we are going to make this change right now on February 16th. We're going to do a theme update on February 16th, and the font changes are going to go into place, and your site will be updated automatically with those new fonts. We Guess I don't really know what else we want to touch on regarding that. If you guys have any specific questions, you can ask them. We do have um, Danielle Kramer and Nick Weaver from UW Marketing with us here, and so um, if you have questions, we can have them answer it. I guess I will kind of pivot, Nick, Danielle, if there's anything you kind of want to say about this process, this decision, anything of that nature, I'm more than happy to to chat about.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the great introduction, Matt. You kind of covered most of what I was hoping to cover today with everybody. Just basically that this update is happening. And since you're on WiscWeb, it'll be essentially done for you with the new theme update that's going to be pushed on February 16th. Um, just a couple of things to flag are that with this update, we are transitioning to using Red Hat display and Red Hat text. So we will be kind of doing away with the serif font options that we previously had. We just felt that those two fonts really covered the gamut of what we needed. And if you want to see a preview of how those look, or how those will look when they're applied to the UW theme, you can check out the UW theme site. So that, just as a reminder, is at uwtheme.wordpress.wis.edu. And
I
so,
was sorry, I was also looking back because I know in one of the channels that we have communicated this information to. Oh, it was in the design community. Bridget asked the question about the sans, um, and like the replacement for tests and things like that. So I guess I you kind of touched on that, but I wanted to
mhm,
kind of talk about the fact that like there are some cases where within WiscWeb people have chosen to use Georgia as their text font instead of Verlag as their text font. That is going away within WiscWeb as well. So we are simply going to be
yeah.
using either Red Hat text or Red Hat display for the headlines and menu values, and then also for the body text, which is what Danielle was just kind of touching on there. So here's a Rich Gasson asked in the chat, comment in the news release about replacing PDF docs and really old items on our site. Is that really necessary? Not sure that I even have any. Is that about
Um,
font?
I think he may be asking if it's necessary to update to the new fonts in
Oh,
PDFs. So I'll respond to that question, and Rich, if that's not what you're asking, feel free to just clarify your question. So the we do have a kind of a finite cutoff for switching over web fonts, and that is June 30th of 2023. That'll be the end of our contract with the Verlag and Vitesse fonts. That really only applies to the web fonts. Any PDFs that you've created, or say graphics that you've created that contain Verlag or Vitesse, don't technically have to be updated after that date. It's just, for branding reasons, it would be great to have all of the UW, or the proper UW brand fonts in place. I understand that, if you have a really old PDF that maybe is not used anymore, there's really very little value in updating that. So I'd suggest prioritizing based on, if there's a PDF out there that you reference very frequently, then you might want to consider updating it to the new fonts, but it is not, a requirement in terms of the font contract. Did that answer your question, Rich?
yeah. I'll let him respond. Okay, he says perfect answer. Thank you for the clarification. So yeah. So again, just kind of reiterate. Um, this is a mean, this is a campus-wide effort. Obviously, there is a time and place that Danielle mentioned, which is the June 30th, 2023. For WiscWeb, for our purposes, we're doing it February 16th with our theme update then. Again, nothing you really have to worry about, but we want you to be aware, and we'll communicate this out again next month because we do have our February lunch and learn will be February 9th. So we'll have a lunch and learn the week before we do our theme update. So we'll chat about this again next month just so people are comfortable with it. We'll communicate it out again so that so yeah, so that's the font update conversation that we wanted to have. I don't know if anybody else has any
Matt?
questions. Yes, go.
Yeah. I have one more thing I just want to add, more so for folks that have child theme sites that have
Mm.
a font update. So in the past, if you had requested to remove the UW crest or replace it with your custom logo, we were required to change your site font from Verlag to something else. And that was because of the license that was in place for Verlag at the time. We are no longer required to make a change like that. So on sites that have a font change in their child theme, we are starting to reach out to those customers and just communicate that we would like to move the site over to just the standard branded font, which is the new Red Hat font, probably around that February 16th date. So you may be receiving an email from me or another member of the team about that change, and that's just to align everyone a little bit more closely with brand standards. The university marketing group has done a lot of background discovery and testing to choose a font that is very user friendly, readable, accessible, etc. So we really want folks using that if possible. So noting that, and then just also we're removing that as an option in the future for customization. So you'll notice on our website now, if you go to our customization page, that is already removed, but that was really only there for that purpose because of the Verlag license pass. So we will not be offering that as an option to customize in the future. Let me know if you have any questions about that too.
Yep,
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So that this. Okay. All right. So that was that update. And then the next update was something that we have been communicating about for many months now, but as of this morning, we have removed the ability for users to use specific types of embed code type things. Again, I'll grab this and throw it into the chat, but here is the information regarding our move away from embed codes. So again, just so everybody is aware, this morning we put into place the restrictions on using iframe tags, script tags, and style tags. We are doing this to come more in line with WordPress's broader security requirements for their sites. So admins and editors of sites are no longer allowed to put these types of code in. We've communicated this out quite a bit, so I know Jenna has done a of embed code conversations and emails with folks to fix things. So I guess just be aware if you haven't made any of these changes, stuff stopped working this morning. And in the case of style tags, if you had a style tag, this guy. So if you had something like style, um, OL, etc., closed your style tags, this and this are now gone, which meant this remains on your site. So in some cases, if you had put in this, I shouldn't say in some cases, in all cases where you had used style tags to try to affect the UW theme to look different or behave differently, those are now stripped out, and this remains, which is not doing anything. So, yes, again, we've been talking about that for a little while, and it's gone. Any questions on that? Hope not, but feel free to ask. Hold on. You're not. You're nope. Wait, you're muted. Hang on. There you go. Now you're unmuted. Hi.
Sorry. I'm just going to reiterate because I just want to make sure this is really easy to understand for folks. So, as you're editing now, if you did have an existing like iframe tag or something on your page and you publish your page, that's going to get stripped out. So if you're kind of wondering like, why is this no longer here? Why is this going away upon publish? That is why. And then as Matt said, there are certain instances where if you had code on the page or you're trying to add it to a page, if it was a style tag or even some script tags, we've seen this happen, it'll just strip out the opening and closing tag and leave kind of the guts in between. And so if you're finding like, oh, I published my page and I'm seeing random code there, that is why. So the best thing you can do is just remove it. It's not going to work. If you have questions about how to accommodate that content, what we want you to do is go to that page that Matt showed, which I can put a link here. Although I think when Matt links it, it actually shows up as a hyperlink. Did you put it in there already?
Yeah, I
Awesome.
put it
Okay.
in already. Yeah.
Yes. So that page is to help walk you through like, what do I do if this happens to me? So please do go there first. We have a lot of tools that are accommodated already. There are some tools widely used on campus that we are unfortunately unable to accommodate. But if we can accommodate them, they will be in our knowledge-based documentation under the embed options heading, which is here. And that's basically where we want you to look to learn the right way to embed content now. If it's not a tool that is accommodated, our request is kind of reach out and schedule time with us in our office hours. That link is on our website. I will also post that here. I've tried to open up some time over the next few weeks in case folks have questions. There's our office hours page. But for the most part, the recommendation is to link out to the content instead. You can also submit a feature request if you believe that it's a widely used tool that is supported on campus and has a service team that has, documentation on it and things like that. We will try our best to accommodate those needs.
Yeah, so I'll touch.
So Ellen's,
So Ellen's question is the embed. So this is kind of where we get into that trickiness of verbiage. So the embed code, I just kind of demoed it on the screen for people to see like what happens. So embed code is this type of thing. You're in your text tab up here, and you've got things like, iframe, and then a bunch of code, and then another iframe. Or like the script tag, which is what I demoed, or not script, style tag, which is what I demoed, where I could affect like a paragraph color. This stuff here, this is embed code. This is HTML or other type of scripting code that allows you to affect what is being displayed on a page. Embed content, the page element, is different, and the embed content page element is actually what you can use to bring in things like a Google Calendar, a Google Form, a YouTube video, things like that. So what we did when we began this process and we reached out to our audience to find out what things were used, what things were desired, and like whether or not we could make those accommodations happen. We wanted to know what types of stuff people wanted to be able to embed. So like, again, Google Calendars, Google Forms, Google Sheets, YouTube videos, Kaltura videos, things of that nature. We reached out to users to find out about that stuff, and we actually created the ability for some of those things to just be embedded via our plugin, which means it strips out some of those things that you'll copy and paste in. So, for example, what's a good one? Tableau. When you grab Tableau type stuff, it will grab the iframe code, but when you paste it in, what happens is our plugin automatically strips that stuff out so that you can still display your Tableau data the way that it was intended to using the embed code functionalities. So that's a long way of saying the embed content page element will still work. It is not going away. We have simply affected it to an extent to be able to do some of the things that we have taken away now via the iframe change. Hopefully that makes sense. But in a lot of other cases, we just either simply couldn't or didn't feel it was necessary to make that accommodation when that content could be leaked out. I hope that made sense, Ellen. I talked a lot there, but in essence, that page element will still work. We've just made changes to it so that it will hopefully work better. Babaluba, I'll wait. Yep, okay, good. All right. Okay, so that's the embed content thing. Again, we've communicated out a lot. We've got information out there. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. I will say the one question that I get regularly about this is YouTube stuff. So, for example, if you go out to YouTube and you, right, there's music for. When people would share things, they would go here and they would go, oh, I want to embed this. So they'd click embed, and you would grab all of this iframe stuff right here, copy it. That's what you would end up pasting in this area here. Some of the stuff. And things would work, but now we're taking away that functionality of iframe. I don't remember if we fixed this or not. It's got it to the text block. No, we did it for other things. Nope. So what you see is it stripped out all of that code. So now it's not working. However, the thing to be aware of here is if you go to this guy here and just simply grab the URL from your browser window, you can just dump that into text block, WordPress, Edge. WordPress will automatically embed that for you. So this is the one, YouTube videos has been the one that I have answered the most questions about. So I just wanted people to be able to see this, how it works. YouTube is a whitelisted embed, so you can just dump in the URL and it will accept it and embed it. Yes, you lose the parameters that you can use to actually size it, but yeah.
Matt, I have one more note on that.
Go ahead.
So on the bottom of that page that Matt had pasted the link in for. I'm just going to put a link here. There's a help area. So sometimes you're like, hey, this is listed as one of your supported embed options. I'm pasting in the URL, it's not working. That can happen. We hope it's rare, but in the case where it might not be, like maybe you're experiencing this, there are 3 things listed there on what you can try before reaching out. So try pasting the URL of the tool into the text tab of the text block and then toggle back to the visual tab. You can try clicking on the add media button in the text editor and choosing insert from URL and then insert into page. Or try using that embed content page element. That's also a viable option as well.
Okay. Let me switch gears here again and again. If you have questions, go ahead and dump them into the chat, and we'll answer them as we can. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other updates that we are making to our dashboard area. All right, let's close you. So one of the things that we have been doing is we have been trying to flesh out the dashboard area to be more informational for folks. So things like, what WiscWeb sites are you assigned to? Links to UW marketing, UW brand, and other types of information there. Who your site admins are. Some WiscWeb help. Our news feed, so like the latest news information right there. So we're really trying to broaden the use of this particular area. And I guess 2 things I want to touch on here. I want to demo something for people to see, but then I also want to first touch on this is customizable. And so, like, for example, if you want to see who the site admins are up top, you can drag and drop this to reorder. If you want WiscWeb help to be a little more prominent, you can go there. And then if you want the news, you can put that up right there. So this is your dashboard area is customizable. So you can move these things around. You can minimize if you'd like. Just be aware of the fact that, like, we're adding more things to this area so that we can get more information in front of you as you log in. So then I want to really quickly our dev environment, which is where we have another thing that we're currently testing. I shouldn't say testing, but we are working on. And so one of the things that we're working on is this thing right here, which is a WiscWeb announcement banner. So again, not really like, I mean, it's exciting for us, maybe not super exciting for you guys, but we're just, again, trying to figure out the best ways that we can communicate with folks. I know how much you all enjoy getting emails from me, but that isn't always the best way to get information out or to get it right in front of your face. You need it to be right in front. So we're also adding this function right here. So for our purposes, if we go to announcements, you can kind of see there are some ones in here. Add new. Active. Excited about some cupcake. Throw that in there. I mean, for our purposes, we're not going to do too much in here past text, but hold that, etc. I'll tinker around with the styles in a little bit. So I'll say publish. Jump back out to that dashboard. So there you'll see. There's that information right there. So we have several versions of this. I shouldn't say several versions, several styles of this. So you can see default is just plain old white background, text on that white background. We go news. News has a blue background. This will likely be the one that you will see most often if we use it. I shouldn't say if we use it, when we use it. This one will probably be something that we will soften because, again, want to get as much information in front of you as possible on a regular basis. There is an alert. So, an alert might be WiscWeb is currently experiencing slowness or difficulty with login process. If you are seeing this message, you are currently logged in. Please be aware that blah blah blah. That kind of thing. It's an alert. It's something we need you to see. It's there. There's that one. And then lastly, there is warning, red, and warning. I guess I'd make this background a little darker. We need to figure that out from a UX standpoint. That doesn't jump out to me as much as the yellow jumped out to me. Make a note. Anywho, the warning is like, hey, your Gravity forms aren't sending right now. If you are using Gravity forms for specific reasons, please be aware that they are not currently sending through our email service. We are investigating. It's that kind of thing. I don't think we would put a warning in here that says you can't log in. You can't. Well, I might do it, but I probably wouldn't be able to log in. But anyways, we're just adding some things to the dashboard area to, I guess, just improve our ability to communicate with you all and your ability to just see what's going on. So, yeah, I don't know. Any questions about that? Additional comments about that from my peanut gallery? Hearing none.
Just
Wait,
props.
there she goes.
I was just going to say props to Andrea for the
Yes.
development of that feature.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrea.
Andrea, who's a developer who is our she's doing a lot of this work with this dashboard area, and it's nice because we've talked about it in the past quite a bit about just trying to make this more relevant. When I did the in-person training, I would always joke with folks that stopgap between over here, you log in, you see the dashboard, you don't even bother looking at it. We're trying to create more of a reason at this for all of you. Props. I know. I don't want to yell into my microphone. I'm sorry, Scott. I'm being told my mic cuts out from time to time. I don't know why that is. It does it when I'm recording audio as well, so I don't know why that's happening, but I don't want to scream into my microphone, but at the same time I feel like if I'm not talking loudly, it doesn't pick it up. All right, well, we'll struggle through. Okay. One more thing of update. WiscWeb. I wanted to touch on this again, and I think I'm going to bring it up on a more regular basis. Is I want people to be aware of the feature request board, because the feature request board is how this one. Excuse me. The feature request board is the location where we are trying to get people who email us and ask us, "Hey, I really think this is something that you should do." We get a lot of that, and it's hard for us to make decisions that one person says it would be really cool to do. We'd rather gauge what the benefit or what the need is across our service. We manage 1,000 sites and 1,000+ sites, and it's hard to make changes for one and then manage and maintain the changes for that one. So the feature request board is here for you all to either make requests or go and upvote other requests so that we can see what that popularity is and we can adjust our planning appropriately. Um, and a lot of this has to do with us and our developers working on things, but UW marketing is aware of this as well, and bring up some of these topics with them as well, because we're kind of co-caretakers of the UW theme, and things that would work great um, across the board, not just for WiscWeb, but also outside of WiscWeb within the UW theme proper. There are some things that get added there as well. So that's again, eventually Matt will stop talking. That's a long-winded way of saying feature request board is important to us because it does tell us where the desires of the service users, which is you guys, are, so that we can adjust appropriately. So I want to always encourage people to go take a look here, upvote things, comment on things, tell us why you feel like something would be beneficial or where you feel like something would be beneficial. Um, so that way it helps us with our planning and our awareness. So okay. So it is said, so it is done. All right. Last thing I want to touch on is a conversation that I've already had a few times over the past couple of weeks, and I'm assuming that I'm going to have these conversations a little bit more over the next several months. It's something that I have said many times already, but I'm going to say it again so you are all aware. Google Analytics is moving away from the old Universal Analytics property and instead moving to Google Analytics 4. There are probably a large number of you who have not yet made that transition. And I really, really, really encourage you all to get involved with that process and do it sooner rather than later, because July 1 is bearing down on us, and um, that is when this goes into effect, is July 1, 2023. um, like I said, I've had this conversation already several times over the past 2 weeks when we've gotten back from winter break. I've got more conversations scheduled, and I'm certain I'm going to have more over the next few months about this. It's important that you get out in front of this. It's important that you get this set up. If the data is important to you, you need to make sure that you update accordingly so that that data continues to flow in. I'm more than happy to work one-on-one with people to talk through this, but let me touch on two things that are um, that have become the common theme over the last couple of months. The first is, if you are looking at your analytics and you only have a value that is, UA something 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 something, that is universal analytics. That means you need to update. If you have something that is G dash blah 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 active, that is Google Analytics 4, and you have made that transition. So, not aware of it. um, make it so. I mean, it's seriously, January 1 happened, and I was like, oh, it's the new year already, and it just kind of snuck up on me, and like we're already halfway through January. Like, it's scary to think how fast time moves when you're not really thinking about it. But yeah, July 1's going to come. And then the other thing about this is that data that's in Universal Analytics, it's going to go away. My guess is it's going away January 1, 2024. Like, they're not going to hang on to that data for you. So you need to make decisions about what you want to do with all of that archived data as well. So that was the first thing, is be aware of what you're using currently. And if you haven't made the change, start making that change. The second thing is, and this is actually the one that has been the conversation that I've been having over the last few weeks, or last couple of weeks, is when I first started telling people how to how to set up Google Analytics, the first thing that I would tell a person, the very first thing that I would tell you is make sure that you're adding a campus service account or a departmental account as the administrator, because if you set it up yourself and you leave, nobody else can get it. And that is the conversation that I have had. I feel like I'm like scolding my child right now. Sorry about that. I'm very passionate about this because I feel like I don't want July 1 to come and people to be upset, disappointed, um, freaking out about like data being missing and things like that. So I feel very strongly about this. But if you don't have a service account in there and you leave, you're taking that data with you and nobody else can get access to it after the fact, because trying to jump through the hoops of working with Google isn't easy, and I don't know if there's an end game to it. So the question that I get on a regular basis is, "Hey Matt, do we have analytics set up? Can you give me access to our analytics?" And the answer is, I can look if you have analytics set up, but I can't do anything about your analytics account. It's something that you manage. So if somebody already set it up and you don't know who, you don't know when, and you don't know how to get access to it, really only have one avenue, and that's you need to set up a new account. Um, so that's the unfortunate conversation that I've been having with quite a few people. Um, the other thing is, and this is one that actually has come up a couple of times over the past year, is and it's something that I talk about sometimes with folks when I'm doing one-on-one conversations with them. But if you'll notice, I have a billion windows open down here, and I'm not even the person who uses a lot of those. But one thing is, if you use a personal Gmail account and you're trying to do work in a browser while you're logged into your Gmail, Google services will always default to the account that you're logged into. So let's say you use Chrome and you're logged into Chrome at whatever at gmail.com. And then you go to analytics and you set up your analytics and you're like, okay, I'm good. The analytics was set up using whatever account you were logged into right. So that's another thing you have to be aware of, is making sure you know what account you're currently logged into when you start to tinker with this stuff. Because a lot of people have their personal Gmail accounts as like admins of their departmental analytics or their departmental website analytics. I don't think you want that. So to that end, one of the things that I have kicked around quite a bit, even though I don't really, I never know if people will be okay with this or not, is I am more than happy for people to add this email account as an administrator to your Google Analytics. You can add it to your Google Analytics. You can add it to your Google Tag Manager. You can add it to your Google Search Console or your Google Programmable Search. Whatever things that are Google related that you are like, you know what, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I want to make sure that it's secure for the future. You can add this is our service account. And while I won't manage it, I won't review it, and I really won't look at it ever unless I really need to, I think it's beneficial if you want to add something that is WiscWeb related to your accounts, so that if you're gone, at least somebody can get in there and add the new person to it. Because there is not I shouldn't say that's hyperbole. It's a pretty crummy feeling when I have to have these conversations with people, and basically I just have to end it with, I can't do anything for you. This puts me in a situation, it puts anybody on the WiscWeb team, but most notably it puts Jenna and myself in the position where we could help you. So I wanted to throw that out there, just because, again, It's mid-January. July 1st is bearing down on us. If you haven't thought about your Google Analytics stuff yet, you really, really should think about it, like, now, and get ahead of it. The data isn't going away yet. So even if you start using Google Analytics 4 today, all of that universal analytics data will still be there for you to go look at tomorrow. But tomorrow, you're in position for when July 1 comes around. So, sorry, got a little stern there, but this is kind of like Jenna's embed code conversation. You got to get stern, or else, I don't know, things are going to happen. Any questions on that? Sorry. Again, I want to say, the sooner we get this done, the better off you are come July. Can we keep our old data? If so, you can if you export it, Linda. But let me click on Learn More. They may have updated this news. So right here, this particular section right here. So that data will still exist for up to 6 months. My assumption is they're saying at least 6 months, and then when 6 months hits, which is January 1, 2024, they're going to be like, we're good. Your data, you had this time to export your data. That's that. We're not keeping it anymore. So will you have access to it? Yes, but you need to export it to actually keep it past that date. So what you could do is, this is the UA view, right? Yes. So this is the UA view. I'll answer your other, or I'll comment on your other question in a second here. But anyways, what I would do is, I guess what I would say is I would go to like the pages report and I would set the time frame for what I want to view. So let's say January 1, 2022. And then, yes, depending upon, so I'll just say today. So if I make that change today, well, yesterday, but today, and click apply, it will load. So here is that information over that time frame. I could show 2,500 rows of that data. It's all that information. And then I could export it as a PDF or an Excel file or a Google Sheet or a CSV. You can export that information. And that way you will still have it. But in Google proper, my guess is January 1, 2024, you will not have access to that old data. And then the GA4 dashboard. Yes, the GA4 dashboard is much different. Let's go back to home. Right. So yeah, so here's the here's the GA4 dashboard. Certain, I wonder if I just overload. So here's the GA4 dashboard. As Linda commented, it is much different from the old UA dashboard. It is also, to my opinion, much worse than the old UA dashboard. The problem is Google Analytics and GA4 in particular is built for a different type of service than a higher education website. This is more built for your marketing, sales type information, conversions, um, the various types of events that have to do with that type of tracking. It's not particularly meant for just general information, which is what we want. We want things like what pages are most popular. Okay, well, here it is. If I go to pages and screens, okay, I want to figure out like what's my bounce rate. I couldn't tell you what my bounce rate is right now by looking at this particular screen. Um, instead of time on page, it's called engagement time. So they're changing this up to be more of a marketing slash sales type of delivery versus what was, which was just basically pure informational um, type of screen. So, is there? Do I have thoughts about organizing it? Yeah, it's not easy. Um, I think what I will need to have happen is at some point I will need to have several sessions where I just basically plug Jonathan's brain into all of you and just let him go and show you all the things that he can think of, because I know he's had a couple of these sessions. Like, Ellen, what was it that Jonathan helped you find in Google Analytics 4? I know we had that session and I took some notes on it, but it escapes my mind right now. He helped you set up a particular library thing that, yeah. So what was easy in Universal Analytics was copy link. Thank you, Andrea. He helped Ellen, the registrar site. He helped her set up a value that shows on your home screen that is the search terms that are being used within your site. But it's not something that's easily accessible. It was something that Jonathan had to like go through and create like a report on, and then have that report appear on this dashboard. So again, not easy, not super difficult, but it's not as easy as it should have been, which is the way it was in Universal. So I think what I'll do is once we get closer to July 1, I will tap Jonathan for some more sessions and maybe like do a little bit of surveying to find out what things do you have in Universal Analytics that you'd also like to have in Google Analytics 4. We'll go from there. Andrea gave this to me, but I'm going to link in our chat the IT Professionals Conference session that Jonathan did on. Oh, she's digging into it a little bit more. He did an IT Professionals Conference session on Google Analytics 4 and like the transition. Real quick. It's not there. I'll have to find. We'll find it, and I think Andrea's digging around for it right now. So if we find it, I'll link to it. Never mind. That's a. Let me delete that because. Anyhoot. So again, the analytics thing, it's going to be an ongoing conversation. I really encourage all of you to get out in front of it. And honestly, if you really want to keep using Universal Analytics for as long as you possibly can, but also get converted over to Google Analytics 4, I can talk you through that process to set up Tag Manager and have both of them running at the same time, which is what we have running. That's why you see I can see here's my GA4 for WiscWeb, but then I can also bounce over and see the Universal Analytics for WiscWeb as well. So I have both running at the same time, pulling in that data. So, copy link. Here is the YouTube link for Jonathan's presentation. Thank you, Andrew. So, okay, that's the list. That's everything that we have for this month. We have a number of things that are going to be coming up in the next few months, theme updates, few other things that are long ongoing discussions of improvements or required changes to the service that we'll want to talk about at length, and we will have many conversations on. But yeah, there's lots of irons in the fire for us. Lots of things that we're working on. Um, a lot of things that you guys see, but also a lot of things that you guys don't see. We've been troubleshooting all kinds of issues with server and security, or I shouldn't say security, but just the security that is imposed upon all of your sites, and then trying to figure out how it's affecting our service in general. Lots of things in behind the scenes that we work on a regular basis that get nearly as much conversation as the things that you. Lots of work goes into it. So I'm good for any questions that you guys might have, but otherwise, thanks for attending, and we'll see you all in February.